So next we're going to construct a new column in this historical daily table. This is helping us to see how to construct a chart for monthly closing price. So this new column, I will just paste my DAX code here. It's called last adjusted close underscore C. All right. There's a existing column called adjusted close. That's basically the closing price for each day. All right. And for our purposes, we want to have the closing price for the stock at the end of each month shown in a graph. All right. So this column, basically, I try to retrieve the adjusted close price for a particular stock on the last trading day. So that's why it's called last adjusted close. The underscore C is try to indicate this is a column, a calculated column, as opposed to something called a mirror we're going to introduce later. Okay. So in this definition, you can see I'm using a variable as an intermediate step. Okay. So I'm defining this variable called last row. It's actually a table or a row, a single row table. Okay, put it that way. All right. So I'm using this index function, all right, to retrieve a particular row from this historical daily table. So this argument, historical daily, is basically indicating the data table on which this index function is working. Okay, so index function is gonna go take a look at this historical daily data table. All right. And what's next? This argument, match by, tells Power BI that this historical daily table is identified by two data fields, the stock symbol together with the date. All right, so each row of historical data is unique in terms of the stock symbol and the date. All right, you can take a look here. Well, each row is basically a particular date for this Apple stock. All right. In our case, we just have one stock, Apple here. Okay. If you have multiple stocks, again, this historical daily data can be a table where each row is a unique row in terms of the combination of the stock symbol and date. Okay. So this match by argument indicates that this historical daily data table is identified by symbol and date. All right, that's important because then Power BI will know how to identify each row. Okay, and Power BI will be able to precisely retrieve a specific row based on two pieces of information. Okay, one information is the stock symbol, the other is the date. With those two pieces of information, you can basically identify a unique row in this historical daily data set. All right. Then another important argument is called partition by. So Power BI is going to partition this data set called historical daily based on the stock symbol. Okay, again here, our data set is simple. There's just one stock symbol, Apple. Okay, assuming you have multiple stock symbols in this data set, then Power BI is going to partition the rows related to each stock symbol into a particular group. All right. So you may have, for example, Tesla and Apple. So Tesla is going to be one group. So Tesla may have a number of observations related to each date. All right. Apple, again, is going to have a number of observations related to each date. So for Tesla, there's going to be a group which includes all the dates associated with Tesla stock trading. All right. And Apple is going to be another group. And in this group, again, we'll have multiple dates associated with Apple's trading. So this is partition by. And order by is another argument which we need to specify in this index function. Order by tells Power BI within each partition how the observations, how the rows are going to be ordered. All right. We know already the data set is partitioned by stock symbol. So within a particular stock symbol, let's say it's Apple, all right? Apple has a number of dates in that group, all right? And we're going to order these rows according to the date in a ascending order. So that's what order by argument is doing. Basically telling Power BI, okay, within the group of Apple, please order the dates in ascending order. So together, we have already talked about match by, we talk about partition by, we talk about order by. So match by tells Power BI this data set, historical data, is unique. I mean, each row is unique in terms of the stock symbol and the date. Then this index function tells Power BI to partition all the rows in the historical data based on the symbol of the stock. All right. So then Apple will form a group. All the rows associated with Apple will form a group. All the rows associated with Tesla will form another group. All right. Then within each group, order by tells Power BI to order the rows based on the ascending order of date. All right. So in this case, the three arguments basically kind of instruct Power BI to rearrange the data set such that we'll observe several groups, each group corresponding to a particular stock. And within each group, the rows are going to be ordered according to the date in ascending order. So with this instruction, Power BI is going to rearrange this data set in a very clean, very tidy order. So you can basically observe each row being a particular stock on a particular date. The next row is going to be the same stock 1 day later. Okay, so when all the dates of a stock is presented, we move to the next partition or the next group, and in that group again, the first row is going to show this stock's first trading day. The second row is going to show this stock's second trading day, and so on and so forth, all the way to that stock's last trading day in that group. All right. So this is how this three arguments, order by, partition by, and match by works to help kind of sort the data set into a meaningful order and help us to retrieve a particular row. So the next step, index is gonna, once this historical data is sorted based on those three arguments, the next thing is this index function is gonna retrieve one particular row from that data set. In our case, index function based on the first argument, which is -1, okay? Index function is gonna retrieve the last row of a particular stock symbol, which is the same as the current row we are focusing. Okay, so we have talked about this row context, right? So in a calculated column, so this last adjusted close is a calculated column. So each column is calculated based on the current row, based on information from the current row. Okay, that's what we call the row context. All right. So if the current row is related to Apple, say on March 30th, 2023, all right, that's the row context. Information related to Apple on March 30th, 2023 is going to be the row context Power BI is going to use to construct this this calculated column, okay, for that particular row. So this index function, well, of course, it's going to utilize the current row context. So once index function sees what Power BI is focusing on currently, okay, what's the current row is, index function is going to know which stock symbol we're looking at, which date we're looking at. So if the current row is Apple on March 30th, 2023, that index function knows, okay, the current row is related to Apple on March 30th, 2023. So because the stock symbol is basically Apple, okay, this will tell partition this argument that the current row is related to the stock symbol Apple. All right. So now the Power BI is gonna just look only for the Apple partition without looking at other partitions because the current row is related to Apple. So that basically tells the index function, well, we're currently focusing on this particular partition related to Apple. All right. So yeah, Power BI is going to just focus on that particular partition related to Apple. So in this partition, of course, Apple has many different trading days. Okay. In this partition, again, because the order by argument tells Power BI to order the trading day ascendingly. All right. So within this Apple group or Apple partition, we have all the trading days sorted in ascending order. All right. And the index specifically, this index function specifically tells Power BI, I want to retrieve the last trading day related to the Apple partition. All right. So -1 is basically the last observation within this partition. Okay. If you use a different number, for example, if you use +1 in the first argument, that's basically telling Power BI, I want to retrieve the first trading day associated with the Apple partition. Okay. If it's number 2, you're telling Power BI, I want to retrieve the second trading day in that Apple partition. All right. So that's how the index function works.